What is up, everybody? Mr. Curtis here. Welcome to the video on contextualization. How do I do that thing? So contextualization is a point on every AP history essay. It's a really important skill. It really kind of sets the stage. So what is it? So here's the deal. It's generally the intro paragraph of your essay. It should be about 3 to 4 sentences long. Anything more than 4 really gets a little bit long and a little bit too much of wasting your time. So generally 3 to 4 sentences. I know most people's thoughts, I'm just going to do 3. If your 3 sentences are really short, I would say 4. But if they're detailed sentences, prepositional phrases, conjunctions, 3 is totally fine. A lot of AP readers suggest 3. I would say 4 just to be on the safe side. And it should set the stage. It should lead into the question. Kind of 2 ways that I suggest doing this. One, you can explain how or why did this happen. So you got your question, and then you say, how did we get here? Or why did we get here? What brought us to this snapshot question? Or you can explain what else is going on in the world that connects to this. I personally think that the first one is easier for students to wrap their head around because it's really cause and effect type stuff. But this works as well, of kind of like a big picture at the time, what's going on in the world, and then if you zoom into certain regions, how is that specifically impacted within your question. I've heard this explained, and I kind of like this example as the bullseye. The bullseye is the question. That's what you're actually going to answer. When you write your actual essay, not this contextualization, but your body paragraphs, that's the bullseye. When you write your contextualization, you want to go like a ring or 2 outside of the bullseye to explain what else is going on. The issue that some people run into is they go too far outside of this bullseye. For example, like if there's a question on the age of exploration, of European exploration, and you write about like the Neolithic Revolution, that's like 9,000 years before. You're way too far outside of the bullseye. Could you connect the Neolithic Revolution to the age of exploration? Probably, but not in 3 to 4 sentences. So you don't want to go too far back. I always say like go right at the start or the end of the last time period or the beginning of the time period that the question's in order to get close to that bullseye. Because if you go 2 time periods back or too far back, you're going to be way outside the zone and it's not really going to set this up. You're more just kind of going blah, blah, blah. In terms of just some examples that I like to use, I always like to say, like, think of things that you know. A context is just like providing the framework for what's going on. So like if you watch The Office and you know this scene, and I said if I said describe this picture, you would say a guy in a tie and what looks like an office is using a blowtorch on a handle. That's what's going on in this. But you need to set this up, and you can't go too far outside of the bullseye and go, well, there's a show called The Office, which was on NBC. That's too far out. Or like people watch TV a lot. People watch Netflix. Way too far out. You want to get zoomed in a little bit close to this bullseye and maybe say, this character, there's a character on the show named Dwight. Dwight's a little quirky, a little weird, a little different. He is a control freak and he's put in charge of fire safety. So he decided to run a drill for fire safety and he started prepping for this fire safety drill. Boom, that's contextualization. I'm setting this scene here for you so you understand what's going on in this picture. Another example is this. If you don't know who this is Tom Brady. There you go. I'm giving you context, right? You could say, oh, there's a guy with a football and he has a Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform on. But you need context. You need to know this is Tom Brady. He's one of the greatest football players, quarterbacks to ever play the game. Multiple Super Bowl wins. He played for the Patriots for his entire career. And then in the offseason of 2020, he left the Patriots and signed with the Bucks. That's context. So now I understand it for someone who might not fully grasp it. This is Hitler. You can see Hitler is walking up the steps here with swastikas, but you would need to know the context of this picture to fully grasp what's going on here, that this is at a Nazi party rally in Nuremberg, Germany, which was the capital. And this picture was taken as a propaganda picture to show his mass support and making him look important as everyone is saluting and looking at him. That's context or contextualization. And then last but not least, we have this. If you saw this and didn't know what was going on in the world, you would say, oh, people are wearing face masks. But the context of this, coronavirus, February, March 2020, people were making sure they didn't get other people sick as they wait in line, so they have face masks on. That's contextualization. Set the stage. So let's go into practical AP world history terms. This is a question, evaluate the extent to which the Columbian Exchange impacted the world from 1492 to 1750. So the key ideas here are Columbian Exchange, impacted the world, and there are dates. So in terms of response, before I even get to this, you want to set up the Columbian Exchange's impact. That's what the question is, Columbian Exchange, impact. So you want to take a step outside of the bullseye. Again, you don't want to go, people learned to farm during the Neolithic Revolution, too far outside of it. Zoom in a little bit, and what's one ring beyond this bullseye that can help explain this? And I would say here are my examples. One, you can explain what the Columbian Exchange is. This question is about the impact of the Columbian Exchange. You could talk about what the Columbian Exchange is. You could talk about what the causes of European exploration were and why the Europeans went out and how they conquered the Americas, and it led to this exchange between the Americas and Afro-Eurasia. That last sentence should lead into the question, so by the time the thesis is written of what the impact of the Columbian Exchange was, you've set up close enough to that question that you're right next to the bullseye, and then boom, you hit it with your answer. Things that wouldn't work, I wouldn't go like Crusades or Mediterranean sea trade or Neolithic Revolution or feudalism in Europe. That's too far. I would say that's like 3 rungs outside of this. So you want to be a little bit closer, set this up. And that's where I would go. My checklist of what I give to my students, what I say is the suggestion. What I'm looking for is, and I want to see all these checked off when I go through. 1, it should be about 4 sentences long. 2, is the information outside the question? For this, you don't want to write about the impact of the Columbian Exchange in your contextualization because that is the question. That wouldn't be contextualization. You'd be answering the question. Also, does it lead into the time period? Does it connect to the question? So are you writing about something that connects somehow to that question? And does the last sentence seem naturally connected to the question? So a lot of connections you're trying to make with the question. One last thing here, this comes up sometimes. You cannot double dip on this. So this contextualization, the same evidence you use in your contextualization cannot be used as outside evidence in a DBQ, or for an LEQ, it couldn't be used as evidence within your body paragraph. So this is a separate point, but no double dipping. You can't get 2 points for the same fact. So if you use something for like cause of European exploration in here, you then can't use it in the body paragraph for additional evidence. So it's got to be separate. That's what I got. Any questions, write it down. Let me know. I'm out.